That morning, a group of Norwegian soldiers gathered at the port of Narvik after a patrol near the mines. One of them, Gunnar, asked to go home early. His baby had just turned 1. His request was approved, but he had to be back by midnight. Gunnar heads straight to the Royal Hotel where his wife, Ingrid, works. She's a waitress there and also serves as an interpreter for both German and British officials. Their meeting is brief. Ingrid is still working, busy with an event hosted by the mayor, so they barely have time to talk. Gunnar then heads behind the hotel, to the small house where he lives. There, he finds his son, Ulla, playing with his grandfather, Aslak. It's almost midnight when Ingrid finally gets home. It's been a while since they've seen each other, and the exhaustion quickly takes over. Gunnar was supposed to leave at midnight, but instead he wakes up at 5:30 in the morning. He quickly gets ready and heads back west. On the way, he runs into a colonel rushing toward the port. The colonel delivers urgent news. Germany has violated neutrality and is invading. By the time Gunnar arrives, all the Norwegian troops have already gathered at the port. They try to hold off the German forces that have just arrived, but it's already too late. Germany has surrounded Narvik from all sides. With no real chance of winning, the colonel is forced to surrender his weapon. He refuses to turn Narvik into a battlefield. They know surrendering to Germany doesn't guarantee survival. The rest continue on, led by Major Sigurd, moving along the railway tracks. Unlike the colonel, Sigurd refuses to surrender. He has his own plan to fight back. Meanwhile, Ingrid enters through the back. Gills, one of the British representatives, rushes up to her, asking for help. He needs a place to hide. German troops are already patrolling the area. Then Ingrid offers them a hunting lodge in the mountains, with Björn escorting them there. Grateful, George and Gil thank her for the help. After helping the 2 British representatives, Ingrid returns home and finds her father-in-law Aslak preparing to leave Narvik with her son. Aslak has already heard that Gunnar's unit is retreating through the railway. Ingrid finally packs her things and leaves. Gunnar is ordered to contact his father, who once worked on the railway bridge. They need to know where the dynamite used to build the tunnel is being kept. Aslak gives him the location, but then adds something unexpected. Ingrid and Ulla have just boarded a train on that very line. Suddenly, the passengers of the train forced by the Germans at the station before the bridge. Gunnar managed to find Ingrid and Ulla among the fleeing passengers. They had to move as quickly as possible because the German soldiers were also on their way to cross the railway. Gunnar immediately helped his 2 friends install the dynamite. However, unexpectedly, the German soldiers hurried to come and attacked from the end of the bridge. Shooting between the 2 camps took place. In the gap, it turned out that Ingrid and Ulla were arrested by the Germans. Then she saw 3 Norwegian soldiers who were arrested. What was most surprising was that one of the soldiers was Gunnar. Likewise, Gunnar was surprised because Ingrid was arrested and brought back to Narvik. The 2 can only look at each other and pray to each other. Ingrid finally arrived at the hotel, and Ulla was immediately greeted by her grandfather. Not long after that, Fritz asked Ingrid to be an interpreter in a meeting with the mayor. At that time, the mayor was very angry and protested against the German actions that caused many of his citizens to die. The mayor asked his citizens to be allowed out of Narvik so they would avoid a war that was likely to happen. After the mayor leaves, Fritz asks Ingrid to stay and assist him as an interpreter. Even so, Ingrid asks Fritz to help save Gunnar, who has been arrested for trying to block the bridge. Fritz hesitates. What Gunnar did was serious and could carry a harsh punishment, but since Ingrid has agreed to cooperate with the Germans, Fritz decides he'll try to speak with General Edward. The next morning before work, Björn comes by Ingrid's house. He gives her a cigarette, something small but important, and asks her to pass it along to the British. At the mountain lodge, George wastes no time. He asks Ingrid for something far more dangerous: information. They need details about the German artillery inside the city. The British Navy may control the sea, but without knowing the Germans' position on land, they have no way of taking Narvik. George already knows Ingrid is Fritz's interpreter. For her, getting information shouldn't be difficult. If she refuses, she'll be labeled a German collaborator. The next day, Ingrid saw the British Navy entering the waters of Narvik and destroying a large German ship. Seeing that, Ingrid immediately returned to her house and asked all her family to protect her in the basement. They could only leave at dusk and return to their homes, except for Ingrid, who immediately returned to the hotel. As a result of the attack, many German soldiers were injured, and some of them seemed to be being treated by a doctor. Ingrid uses the opportunity to slip into the general's room and search through his belongings. It doesn't take long before she finds what she's looking for, a detailed map of Narvik, complete with German artillery positions across the city. That same night, she hands the map over to the British. The officers are impressed, grateful even. With this, they can finally plan a full-scale attack. Once the intel reaches the British Navy, the assault begins, but Ingrid has no idea. One of the targets lies dangerously close to her own home. Ingrid's biggest concern is Ulla. Somehow Ulla survives the blast, hiding under the bed just in time. But Aslak isn't as lucky. He doesn't make it out. His injuries are severe, and he dies shortly after. The war drags on, and 4 weeks later, Germany has taken control of the mountains surrounding Narvik. Gunnar is forced to haul supplies and ammunition through the snow, pushing his body to the limit. The soldiers aren't just forced to carry heavy loads, they're barely given any food. Moments later, the assault begins. But just in time, French forces arrive to support them. With reinforcements finally on their side, Gunnar joins the defensive line and prepares to fight. Once the situation around the barbed wire is under control, Gunnar reunites with Major Sigurd. He asks for permission to return to Narvik, worried about his family, but the Major refuses. As long as the war isn't over, Gunnar has to stay. Instead, he's ordered to keep fighting until the mountains around Narvik are fully secured. A week later, civilians are caught between the British and German forces. Many families are forced to hide underground inside. One of them, Ingrid, is tending to Ulla's wounds, injuries caused by the earlier explosion. Ulla keeps complaining about the pain in her chest, but Ingrid can only do so much with the limited supplies she has. Then one night, Ulla develops a high fever. It's an infection, and it's getting worse. Desperate, Ingrid makes a choice. She makes it to the hotel, but Fritz can't help them. Ingrid begs him, but Fritz hesitates. He doesn't have the authority to make that call. With no other option left, Ingrid finally breaks. She reveals the truth. The British representatives she had been protecting are hiding in the forest. It's exactly what Fritz has been looking for. In return, Fritz immediately calls for a doctor. Ulla is treated, her wound is opened, and a piece of metal is found inside, the source of the infection. At that same moment, Bjor arrives at the hotel. He's just heard that the Germans have discovered the British hiding place, but Bjor begins to suspect her, especially after seeing Ulla being treated by a German doctor. 2 weeks later, Norway and its allies prepare to launch a full assault on the German defenses in the western mountains. The plan is disable the artillery positioned inside a high cave, protected by multiple machine guns. But the battlefield is exposed, and the Germans hold the high ground. They cut through the advancing troops with ease. Under heavy fire, many soldiers begin to fall back. Seeing this, Major Sigurd steps in. He raises his pistol and threatens to shoot anyone who retreats. Forced back into the fight, the troops push forward again. That's when Gunnar remembers something, an alternate path leading to the cave, a route that might still be unguarded. He takes 2 men with him, and they move. The gamble pays off, silently taking out 2 German soldiers and reaching the cave undetected. But inside, the fight is far from over. A fierce firefight breaks out in the darkness. Gunnar doesn't hesitate. He throws a grenade, then pushes forward to finish off the remaining enemy troops. With the cave secured, he plants the dynamite. Moments later, the explosion hits. One of Germany's strongest positions is destroyed. The mountain is finally taken back. And for the first time in weeks, the Norwegian flag rises again at the top. The British and French forces celebrate the victory, honoring the Norwegian troops who made it possible. Germany admits defeat in Narvik and begins withdrawing its troops. Before leaving, Fries offers Ingrid a chance to come with them. He warns her Hitler is planning to bomb Narvik as revenge. Then Fries tells that Gunnar's name has been removed from the list of surviving soldiers. The news shatters her. Later, Polly urges Ingrid to leave the city, even giving her money to start over somewhere else. Bjorn has accused her of being a German collaborator. To everyone else, she's a traitor. With no place left in Narvik, Ingrid prepares to leave. But before she goes, she returns home one last time to see if anything can still be saved. At that exact moment, Gunnar finally returns to the city. He sees Bjorn welcoming the troops, but Ingrid is nowhere to be found. When he asks about her, Bjorn refuses to help, saying he wants nothing to do with someone who sided with the enemy. Confused, Gunnar rushes home, and there, he finds Ingrid after everything. They finally reunite. Ingrid is overwhelmed with relief, but Gunnar isn't. The rumors are already in his head. He demands the truth, and Ingrid tells him everything about Ulla's injury, about her desperation, about how she had no choice, revealing the British position just to save their child. Gunnar is stunned. The war was won, partly because of her actions, but at the same time, she helped the enemy. Ingrid tries to explain she would do anything to keep her child alive, but for Gunnar, it's not that simple. He can't forgive her. Not yet, and that silence between them says everything. Then suddenly, the war returns. Just as Fries warned, German forces launch a massive air attack on Narvik. Gunnar and the others rush to take cover. When the attack finally ends, Gunnar steps outside and sees the devastation left behind. Homes destroyed, families broken, and whatever was left of Narvik is now gone. Soon after, the remaining Norwegian troops regroup, and then comes the final blow.
Det är kjært, og det er et offer han ga for alle oss som står her nå.
Ingrid makes her way to the port with Ulla, hoping to leave Narvik behind, but as she tries to board a boat, someone suddenly pushes her away. No one steps in to help. To them, Ingrid is a traitor. She's on her own. Then, just as things seem hopeless, Gunnar makes a choice. He walks toward her and stands by her side. Without saying much, he chooses to go with her. Together, they leave Narvik behind.